All right, everyone, welcome back to our third edition of the Middle Age Football Podcast, representing the 31 team NCAA Dynasty. You got me and Ricky here, and we're ready to rock. How you doing, Ricky?
Oh, doing pretty good, Frank.
I
It's
mean,
our
it
one
looks
day
like
off. Well, my one day off.
you're one
So,
day off, I have 5 days off. And that's how it goes. It cheats.
but I'm ready to talk about some fake virtual college football
This is
while
what
we
matters
wait for
most.
the actual games. That's right. Screw
And
Penn State, Boise State. This is what it's
yeah,
about.
yeah, that game doesn't matter. Those real life games don't matter. This is the most important thing in our lives right now. Um, with saying that, let's just jump right into it. Nebraska and Missouri, week 3. I mean, talk to us.
Yeah, this.
Talk to us about it, Ricky. How'd it
Um.
go?
So, I mean, like any of these games that I try to do, I try to get the ball first, put the pressure on my opponent, try to score on that first drive, and sort of make my opponent press. And Missouri actually did a really good job first quarter, first two quarters of matching me. I mean, they threw some deep balls, but I'm pretty sure I scored on every single drive,
Mm. Yeah,
and so I was just able to
almost
fly away. But I
600
mean,
yards
Missouri,
for Rayola, 8 touchdowns. You're not going to lose scoring 8 touchdowns. Um,
no, I was able to limit the mistakes, but hey, Missouri, he definitely made me sweat it those first two quarters. And he's a great sportsmanship. I wasn't trying to run the score up on him, but if he was still trying, I was still trying to try.
and hey, that's very fair. Um,
But but no, it was a good measuring stick game. If I want to get to the playoffs, those are the kind of games I need to win. And help me in the recruiting trail, being able to get a blowout. But we'll just try to keep on rolling here.
yeah, exactly. No, it was definitely a big win for the Huskers, and they're just going to keep stacking. Are moving on to the Irish and the Hurricanes. This one looked close early and then got away from Bobby there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a tough matchup for Miami. Notre Dame, while maybe passing wise offensively, they have some room to grow. This is a team that's very consistent. They rely on running the ball, playing tough defense, making you feel like you have to, play a certain game offensively, just to be able to keep in touch with them. And, they were just able to, from what I remember, they were able to just run away in the second half.
Yeah, it looked like he was only able to get 18 yards on the ground on 18 carries, so Notre Dame's run defense was
Yeah,
stifling.
yeah, and when you can be one, if you're forced to be one dimensional and you're not used to having to pass the game, pass all game. I mean,
Yeah,
it's very tough,
yeah, he
especially in
was.
this in that second half when you can just as a defense you can just spam cover four, cover three,
Yeah,
and
Nate
sort of
Nate
just
only threw it 16 times, 4 touchdowns. I mean, definitely efficient there. I mean, he was running
yep.
the ball,
No, I mean,
42 carries, 160 plus yards. I mean, you're going to win if you can put up those numbers.
nope. This is a team that's beaten Oregon and Penn State. So it goes without saying that Nate's one of the top contenders here for the championship thus far. So it's one of those games that Miami was able to have a measuring stick game. But back to the drawing board.
Yep. Looks like we had a Big 12 matchup here, Utah TCU.
Now you want to talk about measuring stick games? This was it for Utah. I mean, they had a very impressive win week one against USC, and they were able to sort of build upon that match with this. They were able to just run the ball on TCU at will. That's just
Yeah,
what this came down to.
I was watching the second half, and Utah just controlled the whole second half, just running the ball and then scored late, and it forced TCU to rush down the field and threw a interception, and they sealed the game for the Utes. So
Yeah, this is one of the top sleepers right now in the whole dynasty. Utah has a chance. They weren't, sort of considered for a whole lot of accolades and potential um, playoff aspirations before the season. But you look at they've beaten everyone that they've come across. Two solid teams in USC and TCU. Um, so I mean, you have to give the Utes a lot of credit. and I'll be intrigued to see what happens with the rest of their Big 12.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so this is one
Well, here we go.
that I want to forget about. You know,
Well, I mean, I believe I said it last time we spoke on the podcast. USC. I've fell victim to their play style myself in year one. They are very opportunistic defensively. If you are not sure about your passing game and you throw late, this guy knows how to play defense. The Trojans know how to play
yeah,
defense.
yeah.
And
Two
you right now are starting to
devastating,
look for an identity.
two devastating
Um,
picks.
yeah, you can't do that.
No, it was just a terrible overall game. I've been getting used to saying that on this podcast, and I've only scored 5 touchdowns this season. It's not looking good, but I'm not out of it yet. So I'm not getting my head down. I'm not getting too upset, but it's definitely taking a little bit of a toll on my mental here, not being
Yeah,
able to put the ball in the end zone.
I mean, you definitely have to figure something out as soon as you get into conference play here. That's the beauty of it is you may have lost all these games, but you still have a path to the championship,
Yeah,
path to the SEC championship in front of you still. But there's just no room for error.
yeah, definitely. And excuse me 1 second. I forgot to turn something off. I apologize to do this now, but otherwise it'll get annoying. Okay, so we're back, and
And
we'll
then
talk.
yeah,
We'll
I
go
mean,
Iowa Zona here.
yeah, let's go Iowa Zona just because
Keep it
this
close.
was one of the heavyweight matchups that we were looking for, and unfortunately, due to circumstances out of either user's
Control.
control, it was just a blowout from the beginning. But I will say, I mean, Iowa is a very tough team to begin with. It, we were just robbed of getting the both teams at their full potential, but
Yeah, it's
I
very
wouldn't be surprised
unfortunate
if
what happened there.
Iowa actually still would have won this game. I mean, he
I
plays
still would have
tough
taken
defense.
Iowa. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it definitely probably
Um,
would have been closer than 35-0. I mean, credit to Arizona. He's definitely a good player, so just unfortunate what happened there.
yeah, I mean, just looking at that box score, they were only having to throw for 67 yards. He was
Right.
able to control the game from the get go, and that's the thing with Iowa. As soon as you're behind this user, behind this team,
Yeah.
you feel like you have to press, and you do things offensively that you normally wouldn't do, and then that's where it can easily go from 14-0 to 35-0. I've been there.
Yeah, Moulton's a good back, and he uses them well in the screen game and the running game.
Now
And
Iowa is still the team to beat in the Big Ten, in my opinion. So there's no there's no shame in losing that game, even
this
without your star
season,
player.
yeah, this season is definitely Iowa's to lose in my opinion. So hopefully no late season choke or anything like that. I think this could be
No,
the Hawkeye
I wouldn't
season.
count on it.
This could be. Moving on.
Um, yeah, Florida State, Alabama. This is a game that's a little bit closer than the box score is going to suggest. Florida State actually had a chance to tie this game late in the red zone, but it became a pick six, hence the 14-point swing.
Yeah, Seminoles
So
4 for 4 on fourth downs. They were hard to get off the field.
yeah, Alabama
This
did control the game for the most part, if I recall.
Yeah, six
Um,
turnovers by the Seminoles. I mean, that's 6 points.
yeah, I mean
I've been there.
this was very good defense by Alabama.
Yeah.
I think Trevor Jackson, the quarterback, just you might see him selling insurance next year, live on a football field. But
Yeah, he could very well could.
this was a good measuring stick game for both teams again. This is Alabama.
Yep.
You just beat a team that's been a perennial playoff contender. So this is someone I'm looking at in the SEC who, with all the troubles to the top dogs in the SEC right now, is someone you might turn to, be like, all right, maybe this is the team to beat this year.
Yeah, and I said it early in the season. I said watch out Bama, so keep your eye out on them on the Tide. And I believe there's one more game left in week 3. I think yep, Georgia and Louisville. I'm not sure exactly what
This
that
was
one.
looked like it was a simulated game.
It might
That's
have
what it
been
looked like to
simulated.
me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good job by the Bulldogs here to simulate, that
Yeah, I
beginning.
can't really say much there.
Yeah, but yep,
That may just come down to team overall and
yeah,
what
definitely will.
dictated the WP doing that.
All right,
Um,
so that'll wrap up week three
on to week 4.
and on to week four. So we had pretty much all games played so far. There's a couple CPU games left, and there's one user matchup left to be played.
Well, asterisk on one of the other ones, but we'll get into that.
Well,
Um,
we won't just get into it. We're gonna do it right now, Ricky, because it is the top game on here.
top
So
game.
I'm not trying to be mean here. I was watching some of that game. Ricky was up, pretty big. The game was definitely laggy, but you can't get you can't make the excuse about you lagging when you're not really taking the game seriously and the other person is, and he's also lagging. It's just kind of like you're playing the game, you play it no matter what, in my opinion. I mean, you're winning 38 nothing fourth quarter. You shouldn't have to play it again, and that's just how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple factors with this. Like if this game was, disconnected first quarter, I'd have a completely different take on it. But I mean, again, from the get go, like what I do, I mean, I'm gonna probably be telling my strategy here, which is not smart to do, but there's no coincidence that I get the ball first every single time because in my settings, I make it to where I get the ball first. Yeah, put pressure on my opponent because I feel like I can score quickly and then control the game defensively after that.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what happened. I scored a quick 7. Yeah, it's something I've done against everyone, not just Washington, not with just a laggy game. And then I stopped him on fourth down in his own territory. Bam, quick. Should have been 14-0, but I had to lag on my end where I missed an extra point,
Right.
and then
And that's the
got
other
another
thing.
stop.
Both sides were lagging, so that I just can't really use that as an excuse to rematch when you're losing 38 nothing.
Yeah, and he's
I'm
he's
not
a
trying
very
to be
good
mean.
player. No, he's a very good player, and 38-0 doesn't tell the story of who he is. I definitely get that, but at the same time, I do feel like just the circumstances of the game made that from what could have been just like a 17-20 nothing to the way it was just the way I play the game. You know,
Correct. Yeah.
where I'm forcing my opponent to feel like, oh, I have to go on fourth down to match the other team offensively.
Right. Yep. And
Again, we were both dealing with lag, but I mean, the commissioners force us to play it again. It is what it is. But I mean, I feel like it was a decisive game,
yep.
and it
And
was
I
just
agree.
worse because of not just I don't feel like it was as bad because of the lag.
Correct. All right, we'll move off of that. It looks like Virginia Tech Clemson tried to play and couldn't get it in, so we'll have to see what happened there. Um, but
Or they're currently doing it. You
or
could
they're
even be
currently doing
currently
it.
doing it. I
Yeah.
haven't even looked at the app.
Yeah, I don't think
Um,
they are. There was nothing said, but we'll have to see what happened there.
so I missed a couple of these games. Like LSU, Kansas was
Watched a
on
little bit
yesterday
of
while I was at work.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of this. It was just all Kansas in the first half, and I only watched the first half. So seeing that it was 49-35 kind of shocked me a little bit. I thought Kansas was kind of running away there, but all credit to Duke. He plays hard. He doesn't quit. So it was a
Yeah,
good
I
win
mean,
for
it
Kansas.
doesn't surprise me with the final score. This is the type of game that Kansas likes to have. They like to have an offensive battle with their opponent. They sort of like me in that regard. Um, and it just I see the LSU quarterback had 7 interceptions there, which
Yep.
again, if you want to try to match an off potent, you sort of have to try to press the ball down the field, make some throws you're not normally used to making, or getting some pressure. It's easy
And Duke likes
just
to
to
run the
have that
ball,
pressure.
and it looks like since he was down, forced him to pass, made him throw more
Yep.
interceptions. Kansas got to play more of an LSU type game. I mean, Duke definitely wants to just run the ball down your throat. But credit to Kansas, played well. Um,
Yep.
Forcing them to run.
These are just the type of games that Kansas need to win. Again, this is a
Yep.
team that has playoff aspirations. And they're beating who's in front of them, and it looks like they're doing it convincingly throughout. So they were very impressive against, I believe, TCU a couple weeks prior. So they've done everything thus far and are doing everything they can to get to the Big 12 championship.
So moving on to the game of the week that no one really got to see because of scheduling conflicts. Penn State
Yep.
being really,
But I
really
did go
good.
back. Like the good thing about Bake is he does on his Twitch channel he does put
Yep.
all his clips on
Yeah,
there,
everyone please
so I was
do
able to
that.
watch this game.
So I can go back through and
Eh,
collect clips of everyone. At the end of the season, I want to put together a little highlight clip of some of the best plays that happened in the season. So make sure you guys are recording your streams. But
Y'all just have to
anyway,
teach me how to do that.
yep.
But
No,
anyway, uh, um, yeah, this is a game that it was just dominated in the
I
run
mean,
game and just pick
looking at
sixes kind
box
of deal.
score, it looks like a total domination by the Hawkeyes. 19 first downs, over 400 total yards to Penn State's 240. They were running the ball. Penn State ran the ball better, but it looked like it was a Hawkeyes should have run away with this, but McMahon hung in there. He had a couple, takeaways while I was in the red zone. He was efficient
Yep.
with his running backs. He had a couple long runs there. It was a great game. His quarterback, his passing isn't the best, but he's a damn good runner. So it
Yeah,
was a
well,
great
McMahon
game.
definitely took advantage of his offensive opportunities in the first half, with
Yeah.
getting those long runs, as you said. But what's killing him right now is you could see it. He's not trusting his pass game,
Yep.
and
Nine
against
nine
users like
total attempts.
Iowa, when you throw that ball late, it's getting intercepted.
Yep. Especially young
And
quarterback.
I mean, credit to Iowa though. I mean, this is a back and forth game. Penn State actually had an opportunity to
Yep.
take the lead,
Yep.
but they had
Big
to punt it
interception late.
with
Had to punt.
2 minutes to go, and then Iowa just got one big play and ran the clock out like they always do, and give me field goal. That's how you win these
That's how
games.
you do it. Went
So
down
I
at
mean,
the
credit to Iowa. I mean they play the game the right way every time.
Yep.
So this is the team to beat. I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care what you know USC's doing. I don't care what any of these other Big Ten teams are doing. Penn State being down right now is just sort of putting Iowa on an island themselves until proven otherwise.
And that looks
And then for the big then
oh
for
yeah.
Penn State, this
Will
they
this drop
effectively
them
have
out?
no room for error now. Well,
Will this
will it
drop
drop them
them
out of the
out?
top 25?
An 0-3
Probably
Penn State.
not, but it might drop them out of the playoff contention depending on how everything else goes.
Yeah, you're very right. It could. A lot of
So
implications down the road from this
there
one.
is absolutely no room for error right now. Penn State's 0-3, and they need to be at 9-3 at the end of the year to have a
Yep.
shot, because that would mean they at least have an opportunity to get in the Big Ten championship.
And then that looks it so far for the week 4 games that have been played. So we'll just breeze through week 5 here. Take a look at the week ahead. These are just the top 25. I'm just, looking
Missouri,
low.
Georgia is going to be a very good measuring stick game for both of those
Yeah.
guys. I mean, admittedly, I haven't seen Georgia play
Yeah, they've been
too
kind of
often, if at all.
quiet.
So, but Missouri, I
Hopefully
mean, they have a
not.
potent offense.
Yeah,
If you don't know how to stop a passing attack like Missouri's, then you are gonna it's gonna be a shootout, and those are kind of games are anyone's.
for sure. It'll definitely be a good measuring stick game for the Bulldogs there.
So there's just very good potential for an upset there.
Correct. And then Huskers and the Trojans, it's offense versus defense there, strength versus strength. So we'll definitely see
Yep,
what that
like I've
outcome
said
is.
before, plenty of times, USC is very opportunistic defensively. This is a very good team. I'm gonna have to play a almost flawless game offensively to beat said team, and it's just gonna be interesting to see how it plays out.
Definitely. Go to the Big 12. We got West Virginia and TCU. Um, we'll see what West Virginia can do here. TCU still, I think, has the overall advantage over the Mountaineers, but we'll see if
I'd agree.
the user versus user matchup. We'll see who is the better user, I guess, there, because we're
Well,
still trying to get
good thing for Brandon is he had a couple weeks against computers here where he's able to learn his team a little bit better.
right. We'll see who his
But
quarterback is.
now this is just we see how much he has learned from that shellacking Alabama game in one.
Right.
Is there did he tighten that gap? Does he play the
He
game a little bit differently?
he might have had
Because you
the
can't.
best game ever played against the CPU. He was down by like 30 points and somehow found a way to come back and win. So credit Brandon there. Um,
Yep, he didn't give
uh,
up.
didn't give up on that. So credit there. So this is a good one, not just because it's trying to be biased, but this has a lot of implications for the playoff and the SEC title race there towards the end of the season. You know, the loser
Yeah,
here
you
could
could
essentially be
say.
eliminated.
Yeah, it's exactly. You could say whoever doesn't win this game might effectively be eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah.
With that said, I mean, this still will drop the loser only down to 1-1 in conference play, but there are a lot of user game matchups, and expecting to go, undefeated the rest of your schedule is a tall task.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
So if it's, whoever wins this one will be at best 3-2 or 2-2, and even the winner is not like this is just a both these teams need to win this game to really feel good about their chances to have a redemption arc this season.
Yeah, definitely. I need this one, and I know Texas does, so it's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. Hopefully, we can put a show on for everyone. So moving on here, we got Utah and Zona. This should be another great matchup. Utah might have the slight advantage here, but nonetheless, if Zona wins, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, they're a great squad. Still unfortunate what happened to the running back there, but I still think Zona could get it done.
Yeah,
Looks like
I mean,
Ricky
I
is
think,
there. He is.
I think, yeah, I got disconnected. I think you. This is how we see how real Utah is. They played some good games against USC, against
Ricky's
well, my
having some
daughter's
kid
screaming.
issues. It's okay. I'll
Yeah,
take care of
she
this.
she's screaming in the background.
You're okay. Utah and Arizona. I'm going to take the
Wow.
Utes here on this one. I think it'll be a high scoring game. Ricky's going to go tend to his child, so that's all good. So then the last game,
Yeah, we got Notre Dame, North Carolina. It looks like
oh, I I think I just there we go. I'm back. I think Notre Dame
you're back.
is a Goliath here, and I hope, well, not hope, but I hope they put on a show, and I think Notre Dame will win this one.
Yeah, I mean, until proven otherwise, right? You have to go with Notre Dame.
Yeah,
But a lot of these teams, like there's a lot of like teams in the ACC that have an opportunity to showcase themselves. I don't think they've had a lot of like user matchups this early in the season. So the likes of North Carolina, Pitt, NC State. Over the next couple of weeks, we're gonna see which one of these guys can sort of try to put their name in that conversation with these other teams, like Florida State, Miami, all of them. So we'll just have to wait and see. This is the first actual test for North Carolina.
yeah, definitely. So that'll be it for all the user matchups. I guess we can do a little bit of recruiting here. Take a little peek.
Well, I mean, let's also see about the teams that we haven't been talking about. Like, I think Clemson's on a bye week.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
We'll jump back
Sort
into
of
that.
Oregon's just waiting in the weeds still in the Big Ten. I feel like it's a little while till they play someone user wise.
Wait here.
I
Let's go to
know.
the.
I mean, we're talking about Penn State before. I think Penn State, Oregon is gonna sort of dictate how that conference goes a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, that's just what I'm taking away from getting into week 5 and later is now we're gonna be a little bit more scarce in our user matchups.
yeah. We're gonna be getting more into we're gonna be seeing a lot more CPU games, stuff like that because of conference play. But there's still gonna be a decent bit of user matchups that we'll talk about here as the weeks go on. But all right, we'll move into recruiting here. Just take a peek. We'll look at the top classes. Even though I'm not doing good, look who's on top. So I got the best
That's right. I
wideout in
see
the
you got a
class.
you got a pretty
Um,
big 5-star receiver there.
yep. So I'm excited about him. I got three wideouts so far committed. That's definitely what I've been lacking. So hopefully next year's Ole Miss offense is a juggernaut like the Huskers this season. So I got a lot to look forward to next season here. So
Yeah. On my end, I got two secondary players committed to me in week 3. I got a couple more on visits in week 4. Which is why I was sort of hoping I'd get that Washington game in, but
Right. Hey.
is what it is. But I mean, looking at like I remember looking at that myself past couple of days. Seems like the likes of Clemson and Oregon are in on a lot of people that are 5 stars, 4 stars.
Yeah, Nate or not Nate. Nick's in on a lot. So Clemson's always
Tex, I
Texas
think
for receivers.
I think I actually saw Missouri is leading the number 1 prospect in the
Yes,
country.
I also saw that as well. So good for Missouri. You
Yeah.
always like it. You always like when Missouri does well.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, that he has great sportsmanship. And
Always cheer for the Tigers.
he isn't afraid of anyone on his schedule. He'll play anyone. He understands that. You know, I think he said it himself. To be the best, you have to beat the best, and
Yep.
if nothing else, you take those games as a measuring stick.
So all right. So you got anything else, Ricky?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think we're about to get into dog days of conference play here.
Yep.
So where honestly I don't feel like our episodes are gonna be as long going forward, just because user matchups a little bit more scarce. I mean, do you have any like takeaways or any? Before we get into conference play, who are the strongest? Would you say per conference?
All right. Well, let's just dive into. Well, let me get out of that. Let me get into the conference standings, just so we can get an eye on it. So right now, Louisville is the top team. Um,
Yeah, I would go by the
I would
conference
take.
because it's all like
I'm going to
zero
take
zeros
Florida
and all that.
State. I'm going to take Florida State out of the ACC. It seems like Clemson just can't get over the hump. They like going to that Birmingham Bowl, so they might. Or is that what it was? Birmingham? He's back to back
Um,
Birmingham Bowl champ or something like that. I think he's going to go
maybe. I
there
mean,
against.
I'm Mr. Holiday Bowl, so hey,
Yeah,
good to
so
know.
I'm going to take the Seminoles out of the ACC.
God. Um, yeah, as I said before, like I'll take Virginia Tech. I'm gonna take Virginia Tech easy right
Okay.
now.
So Big 12, Colorado is number one ranked in the nation, but there's some dogs in the Big 12. So I'm going to stick with Colorado though, because he's just on a warpath. So
That and I don't think he has actually too many user matchups in his conference
please
play.
don't talk about that.
Um, well, I mean, that just goes without saying. So Arizona's had a very strong out of conference play here, but you know I feel like you can sort of shoe in Colorado, even if they split up against one or two user, like or if just one user.
I know they have West
Like
Virginia coming up soon, so
yeah, and I think they play Utah. So again, like Utah, they're better than we expected,
right.
but they have a recipe where if they just run the ball, they can win that game. So I'm gonna say Colorado, and just who is their opponent in the Big 12 championship? There's a lot of good users, a lot of good
I'll say
teams.
Utah.
It's gonna be a battle. You're
Utah,
taking Utah.
Colorado,
I
Big 12.
I don't know. I think it's gonna come down to a Kansas Arizona game if that's what it come if they play each other.
Big 10, it's you or Iowa, but I'm going to say Iowa right now.
I
Um,
mean Iowa, I feel like should be the favorite until
just
proven
because
otherwise.
he's
Now,
been there, been in the playoff.
yeah, Penn State's a little bit on a down year so far. Most of it out of conference, but we you have to see what Oregon's like this year. Like I said, we haven't seen many user matchups actually
Yeah, they
for that
haven't played
team.
a conference game yet, so
So and they beat me last year. So until proven otherwise, and we play each other, they should be the number 2 team in that
yep,
conference.
rightly so. And then we got, I wonder who's going to win the Independence. Oh boy, good job, Nate. Let's see, SEC dog. This is going to be a dog fight. Uh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
this is the one because those two top dogs, Texas, Ole Miss, they basically are fighting uphill battle here.
Yeah,
So
there's a
you
lot of
got
good
the
teams. A
next
and M,
the next one would be
Bama.
Texas A&M.
Yeah,
Texas A&M's beating everyone they should. They were a playoff team last year, so I would probably have to say they should be one of the representatives of the SEC championship. But you cannot, look at what Alabama's done this far and ignore it. So
yep.
those are if anyone's gonna take down Texas Ole Miss, it's gonna be one of those two teams.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. But all right, that seems like
But we'll
that's
see
all
how
we
right we
got.
are here in a couple of weeks.
Right. Yep.
A lot can change.
But yeah, we will. We appreciate you guys listening, and if you guys got anything to say, we want you guys to join. We want to get some people in here. We want to just ask you a question or two about your team, and just get to know everyone maybe a little bit better. So hope you guys had a great holiday, and that'll be it for us.